Sargent, the Honorable George C. Harrison presiding.
You be seated.
Morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Ready to proceed with the redirect examination of Mr. Voss?
Thank you, Your Honor.
So we're still under oath. Does he have his exhibits there, Paul? Where's the exhibits?
They're all right here.
Okay, all right. You need them?
Your Honor, I think, if I may approach the witness...
Sure.
I think I'm going to use a couple of binders. The first one would be Exhibit 1 through 50.
Sure.
And at some point, I may reference, Mr. Voss, an exhibit in the third binder, 101. So, but when I get there, I'll get advance warning.
Sure.
Morning, Mr. Voss. Good morning. As you know, I'm Charlie Kelly. I represent Sargent Electric. Mr. Voss, yesterday there was a discussion with Mr. Saldinger about you having worked for hire, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you moved from hire to Sargent Electric, correct?
That is correct.
And you left by yourself, just one person, right?
That is true.
And Sargent was already in the heavy industrial market when you moved, correct?
Yes.
Already a competitor of hire, correct?
Yes, they were.
You didn't bring a core team of project managers and estimators with you when you came, correct?
That is true.
No enticements, correct?
That is true.
No business plan you were bringing with confidential information from hire, correct?
That is correct.
And no missing USB devices, right?
Yeah. There were no, I don't know if there were missing USB devices or not. I didn't use those.
There was certainly no issue when you moved about missing USB devices when you moved from hire to Sargent, correct?
Not that I ever heard about.
And if we turn for a second to Exhibit 2 in the binder, and again, for courtesy to everybody, we have 4 binders, and for the benefit of the record, binder 1 contains Exhibits 1 through 50, so you should be looking, Mr. Voss, at a binder that has Exhibits 1 through 50. And in that binder, there's a tab 2. Have you found that?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. You have Okay. Now, Mr. Voss, we looked at Exhibit 2 yesterday, and we understand that this is a business analysis that you had prepared, correct?
Yes, it is.
And it asked your son, Luke Voss, to send to the executives, right? Sorry, to the executives, right?
That is correct.
And if you look at the cover page here, the first page of that exhibit, an email from from Luke to Bill Nagy and to Tony Rockwell. We had seen these JPEG items, right? Is that what JPG stands for?
Yes, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what kind of images these are.
Well, as these images, have you ever produced this document in native format?
I'm not sure what that means.
Meaning, have you ever provided to Sargent a native document, meaning how it would have been sent from Luke to Tony Rockwell and Bill Nagy, not as a PDF, which is what we have.
No, I don't believe that I sent this in a native document. I think it was a PDF.
Right. So Sargent hasn't had a chance to do any analysis of how easily this would actually be opened if there was a version that was in native format, correct?
So I'm not sure about that. I did forward the email to our counsel in discovery. I did forward the actual email. I don't know how else I can transmit it.
And so you still have that, and you could forward the native format to Sargent right now, right?
I do not have that, no.
You deleted it?
I don't. So maybe I do. Well, no, actually I had it sent directly from home to them. So yes, I'm sure I'm in possession of it, yes.
Okay, and so you still have it at home.
I believe so, yes.
And what you have at home is Exhibit 2.
It's electronically on the computer at home, yes, I did not.
And you still have at home then the gross margin information? Let's look at MJ 789. Mr. Bloss, are you there? And that's a page that reflects confidential information, as we discussed yesterday, of Sargent Electric, the actual billings for 12/31/13, and the actual gross margin information of Sargent for the core customers, correct?
Yes, it is.
And that's on your home computer right now.
It is.
And you're an MJ executive running the MJ office competing with Sargent Electric, correct?
I am.
And Mr. Bloss, if we turn for a second to well, before I get there, have you considered, even at this point, returning this? Deleting it and destroying it from MJ files so you don't have access to it, and returning it to its owner, Sargent Electric?
I have not.
Now, Mr. Bloss, if you would, you turn to Exhibit 1. Well, actually, hold that thought. May I approach?
Yes.
Your Honor, based on testimony yesterday, I think the better exhibit may be to look at Exhibit 98, and that is in a binder that says,
Okay.
Mr. Bloss, you should have before you now a binder which says Hearing Exhibits 91 through 130. Do you have that?
Yes, I do.
And you have opened the tab 98 or Exhibit 98.
Yes, I do.
And I think that you told us yesterday that this business analysis, which you decided to label Go Final Review, may have been your first business analysis?
Some iteration of the first, yes.
And it's correct, is it not? If you look down at the third section for market trends,
Okay.
you see that?
Yes.
Of course, you wrote this document, right? So all the language on this page that we're looking at, which is Sargent 896, is from you, right?
Yes, sir.
These are your views, right?
Yes, they are.
If you look with me at market trends, there it says that in the last two sentences, steel outlook in 2014 remains somewhat lean with brightening prospects for 2015. BP Whiting has a stated capital budget of $500 million for 2014, 2015, and 2016. Do you see that?
I do.
And if you look with me then, I do want you to take a look now at Exhibit 1. See Exhibit 1?
I do.
Now, if we look at the market trends section there on the first page of that exhibit, the last sentence has been revised to say, BP Whiting opportunity currently appears strong with a stated capital expenditure of $500 million annually for the next 3 years. Do you see that?
I do.
Is that accurate?
I believe that it is accurate.
And that's information you've shared with MJ Electric, correct?
I have shared this with MJ.
When you first shared that with them, the BP Whiting opportunity, in your view, that appears strong, and you might be able to deliver part of that at some point as early as January 14th, that dinner, correct?
I didn't share the annual revenues of BP on January the 14th, no.
Did you share it by January 20th when you got the oral offer? I'm sorry, 24th?
So I can't say for certain that I told him it was $500 million for the next 3 years at any point. I did state that I thought there was going to be continued work there, yes.
That you thought you could capture, and that this was a opportunity that appeared strong, correct?
It does appear to be a strong opportunity, yes.
And you told that to MJ Electric, correct?
I'm sure I related there was opportunity at BP at some point, yes.
And you told them at some point $500 million, right? Because you handed this document, whenever it was, to Tony Rockwell, right?
So
that mischaracterizes prior testimony that he handed anything to Mr. Rockwell.
Well, I'm asking him a direct question, Your Honor.
If he handed it to him?
Yes.
Okay.
no, I did not hand this to him, no.
You understand that this document was ultimately given to Tony Rockwell, correct?
Yes, sir.
Who is the executive vice president of MJ Electric, correct?
That is correct.
With the statement in it that the BP opportunity could be $500 million, right?
That the capital expenditure would be $500 million. That doesn't mean the electrical opportunity is that number. That's just their capital budget.
Right. And you were advising MJ Electric, correct?
I was.
That you and your team would be pursuing on behalf of MJ Electric a $500 million opportunity, correct?
Well, it's not a $500 million. I did convey this document. The 500 expenditure does not mean that there's a $500 million electrical availability. But I did extend this number to them, yes.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because I want to clear that up too, about what's available, what your analysis actually means. If you look with me, Mr. Voss, at since it's open, why don't we just stay with Exhibit 1.
Okay.
Do you have that, Mr. Voss?
Yes, sir, I do.
And would you turn to the very next page of that analysis, which is at least in my copy, and I apologize, this appears there may be two business analysis pages, but what I'm actually asking you to turn to, if that's what you also have, would be the third page of this exhibit.
Yes, sir, I am looking at that document.
Thank you. And the third page of that exhibit, January 14, 2014, revised 20514. Do you have that page?
Yes, I do.
And there it says business analysis and projected revenue versus startup. You see that?
Yes, sir.
And then there's that column of historic recurring revenue. Remember we talked about that yesterday a little bit?
Yes.
And you said for BP Whiting, for example, that certainly isn't the total amount of revenue you generated on any particular project, right?
No, it is not.
But there are two types of projects, right? There are contract projects and there are maintenance projects, right? Recurring maintenance.
That's true.
And the reason that electrical companies worry about and think about recurring revenue is that's the type of revenue that you can base your projections on for what may occur in the coming year, right?
That is a true statement, yes.
And what we're looking at here, when you say historic recurring revenue, is actually the maintenance revenue, correct?
No, sir. No, sir.
That is not maintenance revenue.
No, sir, it is not. These are numbers of revenue from these various customers that included everything, both lump sum contracts and maintenance type work. So it is not solely maintenance work, if that's what you're asking me. It is not.
So maintenance work is included in here, though, in this historic recurring revenue, if I understand what you're trying to tell me in the court.
Yes, it is a subset of the number. I'm saying that those numbers are a combination of both maintenance and capital.
Okay. And that maintenance work, among other things, is the type of revenue that you were hoping to capture at MJ Electric, right?
No, sir. Well, yes, we're hoping to capture maintenance work, but also capital.
Right, and that's what you told me yesterday, right? That this is revenue that you were hoping to capture, correct?
What I said was that this was revenue that Sargent captured, and I was hoping to capture a market share of the overall work availability.
Right.
That's what I said.
Right. And you were hoping to capture that with the 14 you took with you, right?
Yes, sir.
That's the following question.
Well, you answered it and said yes, Your Honor.
No, so, all right. Let's go.
So, at any rate, with respect to another topic, you were also talking yesterday with Mr. Saltinger about relationships. Do you recall that?
I do.
And just to clear that up, with respect to BP Whiting, USS, ArcelorMittal, and NIPSCO in this market, has MJ Electric provided you with a single contact?
Don't think so, no.
And yesterday, at one point, we were discussing the movement of your core team and enticements. Do you remember that discussion?
I do.
And in connection with that discussion, I think that you were shown an exhibit, and I think, Your Honor, it's Exhibit 11. And Mr. Voss, I realized I had another question to try to finish off this one point on contacts. And MJ Electric told you that it was okay to print out and bring your contacts, correct?
Yes, I did.
And that's what you did, right?
I did do that, yes.
And as far as you know, so did everybody on your team, right?
That, sir, I do not know.
Okay, well, we'll find that out as we probably so. Now, with respect to Exhibit 11, do you recall seeing Exhibit 11 yesterday? For the record, this is an email from Steve Farah to Jim Voss and Dustin Frank, and its date is February 10, 2014. And I think we've come out during the course of discovery that Dustin Frame is certainly not Tom Frame, right?
No, sir.
And we don't even know who Dustin Frame is, right?
That is true.
So the Sargent, now MJ employee who received this was Jim Voss, meaning you.
Yes.
And the email here dated February 10th is addressed nonetheless though to Jim and Tom. Do you understand that that means Tom Frank?
I do.
And it says, as discussed, anyone interested in employment with MJE in the Chicago Northeast Indiana region can apply and upload their resume via the career portion of the MJE website. You see that?
Yes, sir.
And on February 10th, you were still employed as Sargent, correct?
I was.
So you're receiving this from Mr. Farah about how your team can apply for jobs at a time when you're still sitting in your office at Sargent, correct?
That is true.
And you didn't leave Sargent, did you, Mr. Voss, until February 11th?
That is correct.
Then it says, as discussed. Did you discuss with Mr. Farah how you were going to go about ensuring that your team knew how to apply for a job at MJE?
Forwarding question.
I asked him a straight question. Did you? I don't know how else to do that, Your Honor, to introduce a topic.
Overruled.
I'm sorry, the question again, please?
Did you discuss with Mr. Farah how to have your team at Sargent understand how to apply for a job at MJE?
So we did discuss the process for applying for a job at MJ Electric, yes.
And how early did you start discussing that?
So I don't know for certain, but I'm sure it was after I accepted the position with them.
And before you started talking with MJ Electric, you certainly didn't visit the MJ Electric every day to see what the job postings were, right?
I did not.
And are you aware of anybody on your team who was checking every day to see what the job postings might be on MJ Electric's website?
No, I'm not.
It's true, right? Certain of your people on your team have never even heard of MJ Electric. So how do they find the website? If not, but through you, as a result of this email from Mr. Farah telling you how to do it.
I'm not sure what anybody's knowledge of was knowledge was of MJ Electric. And this is just a letter from Steve telling me what the procedure is.
Now, Mr. Voss, with respect to two last quick items. Yesterday, you were talking about AccuBid, and you weren't happy about the implementation of the AccuBid system at Sargent, correct?
So I did talk about ActiveBid, and I wasn't in general unhappy about the implementation of ActiveBid. I do think the implementation of ActiveBid was a good idea. I did think it was a good idea.
And you use that, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were finished. Just continue.
I just felt that it required more time for people to become familiar with it, that's all.
And you use ActiveBid at MJ, correct?
Yeah, well, I'm not an estimator anymore. I personally do not use ActiveBid, but it is the system that we use for a lot of projects, yes.
At MJ.
Yes, sir.
And one last question. There was a discussion yesterday about projects that might be outstanding at Sargent at the time you left. And if you would look for a second at what we spent some time with yesterday, which is Exhibit 101. Your Honor, Mr. Boston, that's the report that we looked at, that we applied some tabs. We had some attachments, B as in boy and M as in man. I have the tabs still.
Sure, I have.
Yes, my head is still
Functioning. Okay. Now, what I would ask you to do, Mr. Boss, is turn with me to page 2 of 4 at attachment M as in man. And yesterday we were looking at these documents on page 2 of 4, which reflect, if you look at the bottom half of the page, and to make sure everybody's in the right spot, the paragraph in the middle of the page would start software / Microsoft / Office 14.0 / Excel file. You see that?
Yes, I do.
And if you look at item 2, and just to refresh, MRU relates to most recently opened files, and it will reflect the last 50 files any user opens. And what this shows is that the second to the last document, if you look at item 2 that you looked at on your laptop on the day you advised Sargent you were going to quit, was a document called Known Outstanding Bids. Known Outstanding Bids. Do you recall doing that?
So again, I don't recall specifically running through these documents my last day. I do not.
But you can't contest, can you? That the second to the last document that you look at on the day you quit was Known Outstanding Bids for Sargent Electric, right?
I'm not sure what you mean by if I can contest it or not, but I'm not sure what that means, I guess.
Well, then I'll explain. Can you contest the results of the use of technology that says exactly what you were looking at on the day you quit?
I do not contest that, no, sir.
Those are my questions, Ryan.
Okay.
A little bit, Ron.
Yes.
Boss, can you, with the examination yesterday, I was looking for an exhibit that I could not locate. I didn't have a chance to locate it. I just wanted to briefly show it to you in the court. It's 157. If I can approach you on it.
Sure.
I'm sure you guys have it in front of me.
Your Honor,
Yes.
just as a housekeeping point, we have agreed that we were going to put everything all in. And what I'm wondering is, at this point, are we still in all-in mode, or are we at the point where, because I've had a specific cross, that this amounts to recross on what I just asked Mr. Voss?
It's a fair point. I'm asking the court's indulgence. I mentioned that I couldn't find a document yesterday, and I thought that was very clear. I found it. With the court's permission, I agree with Mr. Kelly. This is not about starting over or going through old stuff, but with the court's indulgence, it was mentioned, and I just couldn't get my hands on it. But
Well, certainly, if that's the representation being made, and it's a courtesy to my fellow officer of the court, that's fine with me. Your Honor.
Okay, let's go.
But for future purposes, and obviously what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Go ahead.
When he's calling his witnesses, and even though it's all in, I'll try to resolve
All
it.
right.
thank you, Mr. Kelly. I appreciate the
Thank you.
Exhibit 157 right there. Mr. Voss?
Yes, I am.
Your Honor, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Voss, yesterday you talked about a walkthrough you had for the Carmoose opportunity. Do you recognize Trial Exhibit 157?
I do.
And what do you recognize that?
Well, it's just an email that I sent to Tom and the other NJ guys about a walkthrough that I held, a site visit that I attended at the Carmoose project, the Carmoose site.
And when you say saw lots of old friends, what are you referring to?
I knew all the bidders. The owner of Carmoose was a guy who ran a facility where I held the account for many years at Hire, and I saw the guy that did all the engineering work for us, the project engineering work for us. Poor Sargent had to walk through as well.
You can put that aside, Mr. Voss. Thank you. This morning, Mr. Kelly asked you some questions about when you moved from Hire to Sargent Electric. Was Sargent Electric already competitor of Hire's? Remember that?
I do.
And that Sargent Electric was already doing steel and chemical work at the time. Remember that question?
Yes, I do.
With regard to MJ Electric, previous testimony that at least in the Northwest Indiana area, they haven't previously done any steel or petrochemical work in Northwest Indiana. Is that your testimony?
Yes, my knowledge, they have not done that.
What impact does that have on MJ Electric's ability to contribute to your branch?
Well, I mean, it's pretty minimal, actually. I mean, from the perspective of prospecting the work, meeting with the customers, estimating the work, the systems are in place. It's virtually all the same. It's pretty minimal.
Is the estimating work different than something that MJ Electric otherwise does?
Well, to my knowledge, MJ hasn't gone into these massive petrochem facilities as BP is, that occupies a large amount of real estate. But they do have an extensive list of projects and current projects for pipeline, which utilizes the exact same parts and pieces, same material, same type of labor, so it translates directly into that. So while they don't have experience in that particular facility, They do have extensive experience in the nature of that work of that nature.
Is estimating steel or petrochemical work somehow different or unique, where only Mr. Boss, you know how to do it?
No, that's not true.
He was found on it.
Well, again, the type of labor units that you use, the type of work that they do are very similar. The nature of the work is similar in the difficulty, in the materials that are used, the management that's required, just the logistics of getting people in and out of the work areas, loud, hot, and dirty. That's industrial work, and that's the same for really any place that's an industrial plant that you go to work to.
I'm going to turn your attention back briefly to Exhibit 2. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's turn your attention to, I can go by the base stamp, NJ 79. That's the chart with the year-end billings for 2013.
Yes.
See that?
Yes.
Has certain margin information.
It does.
In your view, Mr. Boss, if you knew this information for Higher Electric, would this give MJ Electric a competitive advantage over Higher Electric?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
For many reasons. First of all, it's in the previous year, what work is available, what market conditions exist in one year to the next, always change drastically. And these numbers represent aggregate compilation of all jobs. Doesn't give you any specific job you can look at and determine whether or not, you did the thing, whether it was a good job or a bad job. There just isn't enough detail. The revenue numbers mean nothing. Yearly, electrical contractors rank themselves in their publication and publish their revenue numbers. Revenue numbers are published for everybody. And, there was in fact a plaque sent to Sargent Electric congratulating them on being, whatever it was, number 21 or 22, based on the $206 million worth of revenue that was generated by the company in 2012. The revenue numbers mean nothing. The margin numbers mean nothing. First of all, this isn't the year end. At the end of the year, there's always adjustments, and that would take place in January. So even the general margin numbers are going to change. This detail means nothing. If I had this detail for any other competitor, it wouldn't help me in a single job. It's just not helpful.
And my question intentionally wasn't an oversight. I was comparing it hypothetical to Higher Electric. Would your answer be the same? Obviously, this is Sargent information. Does this give you any competitive advantage over Sargent Electric?
Absolutely not.
Mr. Kelly asked you if you returned this information to Sargent. To the best of your knowledge, did Sargent already possess this information?
I believe so, yes.
He also asked you whether you deleted or destroyed this information off your computer. You were sued, Mr. Voss, in this litigation. Do you recall the date of this lawsuit beginning on about?
I'm sorry, I do not.
Early March, sound right?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Since this lawsuit began, have you deleted files related to anything that you have done, either that you've ever done with Sargent?
No, I was told not to. I was told to produce every correspondence, which I did.
Mr. Kelly talked to you about, his words, quote, your core team. Did you take a team with you from Sargent, Mr. Voss?
There was no way I took it.
You describe your words?
This isn't their choice to change the conditions. It was our choice to move on. We opened up this office, and yes, we hoped that some people would come with us. Never did we think that everybody would leave Sargent. It's ridiculous. Everybody's got their own choice. Everybody makes their own choice. You know, in this business, mass movement of bargain guys is commonplace. When I was managing and worked for BP, it was not uncommon for us to hire 30, 40, 50 guys at a time, all 697 craft guys. Every one of the guys that came with us is a 697 craft guy. They have the choice of where they want to go. That's up to them. I did not deliver these guys. They followed. They followed because they were unhappy with the condition changes, and they were likewise hurt that we had delivered such great results, and everything we did was wrong, and everybody's going to take a cut, and never mind what we did, we have to look forward. You know, of course you have to look forward. That's part of what we do. But you can't just discount where you've been. You know, where you've been casts how you look forward. And you know, I didn't bring these people with me. They were driven away. You know, we created an opportunity, a place for them to go. That's it. It is their choice. You know, Sargent Electric has been in Northwest Indiana my entire career. When I first started, they were the big player. You know, I know these guys, and they're working at Sargent. Their dad worked at Sargent. Their grandfathers worked at Sargent. They're not turning their backs on Sargent. They're going to a place where they think that they're going to be treated better. It's their choice.
And we'll hear from them directly, certainly in this trial, Mr. Voss. Thank you. Mr. Kelly asked you some questions about MJ Electric, providing you with any, this way, contacts at BP. Remind me in the court, who is Jeff Spees?
Jeff Spees is a new hire that came to MJ within the past 3 or 4 weeks, who also a 697 man who spent his entire career at BP. And while he was at Meade, he ran the Contractors Consortium, which is called the RCA Group, and per Jeff's discussion with Jeff, it was a $300 million annual undertaking, and he was the top guy there, and he knows everybody at DP, and that's who Jeff is.
Mr. Kelly asked you about some contacts that you brought with you. What's that a reference to?
Yeah, I had an Outlook, and I'm not even really good about keeping up with my Outlook. My Outlook is pretty Spartan, but I did print out my Outlook, and there were customer numbers and names and emails in there, and many of which I knew before my time at Sargent, but some that I didn't meet at Sargent.
And does your Outlook contacts include contacts for family?
Yes, it does.
And friends?
Yes, it does.
And maybe repair shops that you need for work in your home?
All true.
One of Mr. Kelly's last questions talked about AccuBid. I think other people may talk about it too, but can you just describe just generally what AccuBid is? Apparently Sargent is using it, and MJ is using it. Can you just give a generic description for the court what AccuBid is?
Yes, it is an estimating program that you use to apply labor units to the quantities that you take off and put into it. It's a math function, and it has labor units embedded in it that apply for the different type of work that we install.
Is it software?
It's software, yes. It's software.
Is it something that I could go out and acquire if I wanted to?
Absolutely. You can go out today and buy it online, and it's available to anybody.
At the end of your examination, Mr. Kelly referred you to a document, the Sargent's experts report, something that says no outstanding bids. Do you even know what that document is?
Well, it looks to me, the way it's titled, that it was known outstanding bids from 2009, and that's the time period that I was still in Pittsburgh. That's what it appears to be.
And actually, it might be helpful then if you open up to that Exhibit 101, just briefly. We know when you're there. We can go right back to that attachment panel, page 204.
Okay.
Sorry, Your Honor. All right. Are you there, Mr. Voss?
Yes, I am.
Are you on, pardon me, attachment on page 204?
I am on that.
Your Honor, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Voss, what's the basis for you thinking these are outstanding bids from 2009?
Well, it says outstanding bids 06/17/09. That's a date. 06/17/09. It's June 17th.
Are you aware of any outstanding or bids that are from 2009 that are still outstanding and pending?
No.
I have no further questions. Thank you very much, Mr. Voss.
I have just one question.
Okay.
And Mr. Ross, staying right where we are, X1 means that document's been revised, right?
It certainly could be, I guess.
So that means that documents like these, which are templates that reflect known outstanding bids, can be revised and used over and over so that you have the current known outstanding bids for any particular year, correct?
That could be used in that way, yes.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay.
Mr. Voss, did MJ Electric submit a competing bid for anything that was outstanding at Sargent at the time you left?
No, sir, absolutely not.
No further questions.
Okay. Anything else, sir?
Nothing else, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Voss. You may step down.
Thank you.
Gentlemen,
Mr. Voss.
let's take 5 minutes. Okay, we need to address something real quick.
All right.